Howdy neighbors, what you know good? Well, it's about that time. Actually, I'm working back on the coupe. So you've seen the all the work I've done in the trunk. I've done redone the parcel shelf, the headliner itself. Now comes the real fun time where you start to put the car back together. So let me kind of catch you up on some of the things I've done between all the other videos of deconstruction, kind of refinishing everything and putting it back together. So when I bought this coupe, it had a button up here in the mirror itself. It had a popper back here in the back, and the power locks didn't work at all. All the wires were cut, everything else was kind of hacked together. It really kind of was a little sad. So some of the cool things I've done is I actually bought a rivet here for the actuator, and it didn't have an actuator in this. I bought a used passenger side door that had an actuator in it, so I drilled the rivet out of that, took it out, put it in here. I had to run this wire in and make some connectors that would wire into this because I didn't have a connector. So I did all that. When I went to the salvage yard, you saw that video there. I bought some of the rods out of the pieces. Now, most of the rods are identical left to right. The only thing that's different is the lock rod, I guess you'd say. This one here is actually, it has a slight bend difference from left to right. So I did get one out of the salvage yard for a driver's side door, so that is in. You saw me do some of the welding, and now I'm back to cleaning. So, power door locks do work now. I need to check the mirror still. The window still goes up and down. As you can see on the outside here, I have put a handle on. I bought a set of handles and locks, so I got new locks for it. I bought these from Black Friday sale. And the handle itself, the rivets to put those on are so incredibly hard to put on. I think I've damaged this handle. It's kind of loose and wiggly, which I don't think it should be, so I probably damaged that. Thankfully, they're not too expensive to replace. I did put it on with some button head 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch 20 threads per inch and 5/16 length, or I think, sorry, like, yeah, something like that. So a little bit half inch. So I put those on so that I can take these handles back off because the rivets are so hard to put on. And I just put on a locking nut and a washer on the back side, tighten them down, and they're fantastic. They'll easily come off, and when you want to replace them if you need to, versus having to drill the rivets out and you destroy the handles, it just becomes a mess. So let me show you some of the other pieces of the car we're working on, and then we'll get started on some other stuff. Okay, so you can kind of see here I'm starting on the inside. Now I've cleaned out everything. I used a rag to basically clean it all out, so you can see the paint is pretty shiny. I've only done the driver's side. I do need to fix a couple of the wiring here on the dash. I still need to do that. It's pretty easy to do. And they did actually have an alarm in this car, so I had to take out that harness and repair a lot of the wiring damage they did putting that in and taking it back out. Still need, obviously, to do the steering wheel. I haven't put that connector in. I just kind of show you. I did use some of that remaining DEI boom mat on the floor, just a few pieces. I only had 7, so I'm going to use that to cover both the seat wells, I guess, in the car. You can see I've kind of cleaned that out. There's the battery cable here in the red. That's running front to back now with grommets and everything else, so that'll go in with the seats. Everything's clean. And you can kind of see the parcel shelf. You can see it's a dark gray where everything else is a light gray. Now let me show you that from looking from the outside in, so you can kind of see the difference. Okay, so you can kind of see on the outside in, you can see the color difference. So this parcel shelf here, this is what I just redid a little bit ago, and this is kind of like a dark gray felt, I guess. Dark gray, and then everything else is titanium. So you can kind of see the color difference between the seatbelt pods, and this is the third brake light came out of the car. And then on the back of the trunk, it's there. I need to replace this lock. I have a new one for that. I just haven't put it in. It's going to be the black one. And I actually did get a Ford emblem here when I was at the salvage yard. Okay, so on the passenger side itself, you can kind of see I haven't, it's still shiny, but I haven't cleaned it out yet. Haven't wiped it out, nor have I wiped out this door. You can kind of see the door there is still pretty dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe those out now. And then I'll finish this up. And then once the floor is clean, I'm going to put in the extra pieces of boom mat to get that done. And then I'm going to start doing the rear seats, getting those cleaned up so I can get them to dry. Okay, so I finished the interior. I got all the boom mat laid down. I Actually gone through and vacuumed out all of the, basically the crap out of the wiring, you know, under the dash and everything else. Cleaned up some of the wiring, took out the old alarm, fixed some wires that were cut up, kind of rerouted everything and tucked it up in there so it's going to be clean when I'm done. So now I'm going to do kind of work on the dash. So, you know, my dash is dirty and kind of nasty, you know, like fun stuff where you have 20 years of abuse. So I've taken off the pad here. It comes out the, I guess goes this way. Taking this off here. It's just basically 3 screws on the back. They look like they're about a 7/16 or so for that. This just needs to be cleaned. I've taken off all the ducting, which on the back side is 3 pieces on the major stuff going into the vents, and then for your defrost is there. These are all just held on by screws, and you can just use a either a star point there or just a socket. Just take those off. I'm going to get all this cleaned up. I did buy a new pad. I bought this a few weeks ago, got that in, so I need to get that put in. I need to get everything clean, take it inside, kind of wash it out in soap and water, and then I'm going to start putting it back. So just a word of caution when you take these out of the pad, if you're ever going to do this. On the bottom of mine, already 2 were broken. You know, these are 20, could be 23 to 26, 27 years old by the time you start working on this, and just be careful with these. You know, I actually broke another one, so you know, it's hard plastic and it doesn't stay forever. And then I found out the poor vent on the very driver's side there, the door to shut off the flow there is broken. So another project for the future, but at least I know now that I need to replace it. So I'm going to clean this all up, reassemble it, and I need to get it back in the car.